or internationally benchmarked to the Common Core standards. The one question he could not answer. Because they're not, if he would have said Singapore, or he would have said Finland, or he would have said the top countries out there, boom, I would have been on that phone to James Milgram and Sandra Stotsky said, we've got it on video, please now go make, he wouldn't answer the question because they're not comparable to the, we're not talking about standards that, because I want to be careful because, they're saying that this is so rigorous as if our kids are going to be able to compete. That's how it's sold. And then you look at these convoluted math and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, this is so tough. This is what they mean by the rigor. My kid's going to be able to compete. No, they're not.
No, they're
creating
not.
Stress
and dropouts.
Yes, we've looked at the standards in these top performing countries. We've looked at what they're doing in math. They're teaching their math, and Dr. Milgram is a NASA science or mathematician. He didn't go through fuzzy math. We've had years of fuzzy Common Core math, even before Common Core. That's what drove down. We have evidence that shows that it actually drove down academic achievement using this kind of math. They say it's deeper learning. It's not deeper learning, it's confusing learning, because I get the kids who are confused, and when you show them a logical way to do a math concept, the light bulb clicks on, the confidence comes back, and you can see it in these kids. But I'm not teaching them stupid math. I won't do it. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I don't do it anymore anyway, but years ago I was like, there's no way I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to give you an example. When my daughter was in 6th grade, she's in college now, I showed her the ways that they do math, everyday math or something like that. And her comment to me was, Mom, why are they trying to confuse kids? A 6th grader notices this. A 6th grader. And I'm exactly. And the other thing about the Next Generation Science Standards at that meeting was very interesting. If you go back, you can watch the April 22nd meeting before the New Hampshire Board of Education. There's many times where they slip up about, we're not interested in memorizing anymore. It's all about the process.
Until Nancy Stile has a bill this year, says,
Yeah.
well, gee, we need cursive back in there.
And we need
memorizing both
Yes.
math tables.
So I'm looking at this as a math person, and I'm telling you right now, the kids who memorize are at a huge advantage over the ones who don't when they get to high school. I am telling you right now, the kids who, we all know that. I've got mathematicians telling me that the kids, or the students, they're adults by the time they apply for the PhD programs in college, they've gotten through masters, okay? They've got their master's degree in mathematics. Half of our PhD students are coming in, tuition paid, from foreign countries, because those master degrees, American students do not know arithmetic. That is what the mathematicians are telling me at our top universities. So this emphasis on memorization, and I'm not saying that you don't have to apply it at some point. My daughter's in nursing school right now. Well, let me tell you something. The memorization is overwhelming in nursing school. And when you listen to this Next Generation Science Standards presentation, or you listen to competencies, where you get to retake the test just over and over again until you reach competency. Now again, remember, you assume competency means competent in an algorithm or a math concept. That's not always what it means. But you get to take them over and over and over again. Tell that to a nursing student in college. You get to take your test. They don't. They don't allow you to take it over and over. Boom, you're dead. 25% of her class, her first freshman year, dropped out, flunked out, because they were not prepared for a nursing program. I wonder why. I wonder why they're not prepared. Because academically it's dumbed down. The emphasis now on process, collaborating, be creative. As if we're the most creative country under a traditional education system. We're very creative under that. That's not taken away. You're making, your focus is on literacy. If you focus on literacy, it doesn't take away creativity. It doesn't take away these skills that they seem to, how did we make it through? How did we get through this system?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on your comment about elitism. And I think the definition of a progressive elitist is, we know better than you, and we're going to show you the way. And that's how I see Common Core and the whole federal takeover. I've seen a big shift from individualism to
Yes.
collectivism.
Yes, that's outcome-based.
So
Yes.
the collaboration in school is really teaching them to
Group
live
thing.
by consensus.
Yes,
So if somebody has a stronger argument, whether it's right, wrong, against your beliefs, then you're gonna follow them. So for me, it's seeing a walk into socialism and just a destruction of what this country was. That's how I look at it, but that's my view on that. But I have a comment on maybe something that we can do about this. And I have my youngest graduating from high school. I'm with the Jaffrey Range District. My older daughter graduated in 2012. I was always very involved, as much as I could be, on many committees, called up and asked to serve. But one thing I noticed in our district in 2006 is we hired a curriculum director. And I thought it was a great idea because my kids came in from a Catholic school into a public school system, and I saw immediately how far behind they were in math. Immediately. My child was repeating what she had learned the year before. The quality of the instruction and the work was just, I couldn't even compare it. So when it came, and I kicked up a lot about it. I had one-on-one meetings with the principals, with the teachers. So when it came time to hire the curriculum director, they asked me to be on the committee, the hiring committee. I thought it was a great idea. But now, in hindsight, all that curriculum director has done is write grants to bring in federal grant money to dummy down our school system. And it has sickened me to watch it. So here we are, 2015. And I've watched the writing program. Oh, well, we're going to get this, the federal government's going to pay for this program. And it's some program they're using
yes.
in Chicago that, is just so poor in quality.
But it's money. It's
money.
It's
So
all-
this is
yeah.
my thought. My thought is, there are no parents on a curriculum committee. Are parents involved in a curriculum committee in New Ipswich or at Messina?
They say they are, but
Do you know any?
I don't.
So I'm wondering, as parents, that's a way in to influence what they accept, because we don't
Yeah, but
know.
see, you are in a unique position because you said specifically that you took your kids out of Catholic school and you could see the difference.
Yes.
A lot of people that are in the system, they don't have that
Exactly.
perspective. So they don't even realize
Right.
what is going on until somebody points it out, where I could say, look, this is, although, a lot of us grew up, I tell people, this is not a traditional education. We got to get away from the traditional education. You don't have a traditional education. The traditional education we all went through. This is not what we have. We have an outcome-based system. We have a system that is very different. And so when you bring your kids out of one, you bring in from homeschooling. I mean, Doris saw it right away. When I have parents explaining things to me, because my kid, well, I have two in college now and one at Trinity, where it is academically based and where it is, individualism is still supported. You can see it, but the problem is a lot of parents are just, they don't see it. And so how do you make them aware? I think you have to give them the facts, which we try to do. I give you the facts on, go read Dr. Milgram's critiques of the math standards. I mean, this is, I can't do that, but he can. Go read Dr. Stotsky's critiques. Start holding your account. I mean, in all honesty, this could flip with a different governor. But even the Republican governors have been pretty wishy-washy. I mean, look at Jeb Bush. He is a huge supporter of this.
Yeah.
John Kasich, huge supporter of this. At this point, I am extremely concerned about electing a governor. I don't care whether they are Republican or Democrat at this stage, to be the next president of the United States. I'm very concerned. We've gotten governors now, Republican governors, saying, well, now I don't like Common Core, but I'm thinking, how did you not see this in 2010? I could see it. How did you miss this? And where were you and who did you hire? The only one who really, I think, got it was Rick Perry's commissioner at that time. His name was Robert Scott. And Robert Scott saw the writing on the wall.
They had
And he-
C-scope, which
Yeah.
is a precursor to Common
But
Core.
Robert Scott saw this. That came in through the back door too. C-scope
Right.
did.
But by the time
But
they
at
had
least
C-scope,
he
they
saw
knew the
it.
Common Core was more
Yeah.
the same, and
I
they
mean, and
said
Texas
no.
does have a lot of the workforce development right now because it comes in and it comes in through language
grant
that you don't even
process.
catch, and through grants. The
The
grants are,
grants. Well,
oh,
you know,
they've just taken the
I
parent out of the picture.
am fully in agreement with, working towards the legislation, but I do think
The
that,
grants are bad.
I think that parents, let me just ask parents prior to Common Core, how many school board meetings did you attend? How many committees did you serve on? Anybody?
I know,
Anybody? That's the problem.
that's the problem.
And when I was in school, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was very involved. Like, the same three parents would show up for coffee with the principal, the
Yeah.
one principal that did it for 2
Yeah.
years.
You're absolutely
This
right.
is the problem.
Yes, it
We
is. It
need, we
becomes
are
so
not
conflated.
exercising our
Right.
rights at
That's
the
right.
local level.
The
When
good
they say, oh, let's keep it local,
Yeah.
what is local?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the administration
Yeah.
running the schools,
Right,
because we,
right.
as parents, have
Yeah.
failed to exercise our
You're
rights.
absolutely right, because parents have become complacent. Doris and I try to figure out how do we get them up off the couch. I mean, the great thing about Common Core, if I have one good thing to say about it, it has woken up a lot of parents across the country. Not enough in New Hampshire. I'm sorry, we do not have enough. I see a lot more activity in other states. I mean, they can turn out 800 people at the State House in Indiana. Why can't we turn out 800 people? Now, we fill the room, but I gotta tell you, it's not gonna go anywhere until parents get up off of the couch and say they want better. This is not gonna impact my kids. It's not gonna impact her kids.
It's gonna
We're done.
impact our grandchildren.
It's gonna impact my grandchildren.
country.
You got that right.
Our country. and
Exactly.
who we
But
are.
you know what? I moved to New Hampshire 12 years ago. We moved to Bedford. And my kids have always been in Catholic schools. My kids, I think, 1 year in a public school. My school board in Bedford, my kids have never been in the Bedford school, for 12 years, has heard from me on a weekly basis. For 12 years, they have heard from me. They know me. They may not always like me. Some of them do. Some of them, they're fully support. Some of them are fully supportive of Common Core, so they're not. But I don't care. My taxes go there. This is the future. And same with Doris, we are involved. It doesn't matter if it's not gonna impact our kids, but I'm looking at parents going, it is affecting
The
yours.
thing is, you can go there, and I went to Nashua 3 or 4 times and thinking, Nashua is so much worse than Manchester. How did Deb do it? Deb had a lot of help, and we helped bring in the numbers, a lot of Manchester people, and we turned that district around. But Nashua wasn't doing very well at all, but then it sinks in. And then months and months later, Nashua passed a policy to say that you could opt out of the tests. You could refuse them. Not every district did that, but you plant the seed. You go back 2 or 3 times and water it. It does make a difference.
It does.
And
You
even just
have
a
to
few
keep
people.
showing up and keep showing up. The squeakiest wheel gets the most
And
attention.
the other
That's
thing
how it
you
is.
need to know in Nashua, there are more psychologists than guidance counselors. This whole program is
Yeah.
behavior modification.
It's behavior
They want to see how you work in a group. You get in the group and everybody thinks different than you. Why don't you change your mind? Oh, and they track all this stuff. That's on the state longitudinal database. What type of a kid is he? Does he go along with the group? Does he push back? They want to know. So you've got these psychologists, you've got these surveys, these questionnaires. The whole thing is wrapped up with a bow. I mean, this isn't academic. And that's what we're saying about the Smarter Balance. If it was just academic, we wouldn't be nearly as concerned.
Right, if they were
Even
just
if it
about a
was
set of
before.
standards, and even if they were kind of lousy, I would just say, look, just work for better standards. This is a complete transformation that nobody asked for.
And there's 400 data points per child on this longitudinal database. It goes to the Labor Department. First it goes to the U.S. Education, but they share it with Labor. So they want to track you as you get a job to see how effective their education is. They just keep tracking you. They don't ever purge it. You don't see what it is.
It's a
But they have-
dossier, they're keeping up
It's
students.
electronic dossier. I mean, and it's got the politics of your family, your finances, your religion, anything that your medical conditions, your behavioral disorders, or your behavioral
Yeah,
problems.
I hear from teachers, I had it from the one teacher that we have consulted with. She's like, Anne Marie, I'm entering this information about these kids. I don't know where it's going. She's concerned. I'm writing things, I'm seeing things like lazy. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go to get a job
Right.
somewhere in the field, this can be shared with the Department of Labor.
Yeah.
The FERPA law was gutted by the Obama administration, so this information can be shared
They
now.
can
It
sell
can
it.
be shared, it can go anywhere.
All
So-
based on one person's perception of a child that has
Right.
them
Subjective.
180
Very
days out of
subjective.
their life.
But it's the
Right.
questioning.
It's wrong.
The questioning gives
No
them
doubt about
an
it.
idea of how they think, what
Right.
their politics might be.
Yes.
I shared that with you, Anne Marie,
Yes.
about my boys. My boys go to private school. Now, I sent my boys to private school to protect them from the public school system. This past year, my boys are in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade. My son is taking their achievement test or assessment test, and he looks at this question, and we're conservative kind of folk, and so red flags went up. He had his iPad, and he looked at his teacher, took a picture of it, brought it home. And it was about the Constitution, a flexible Constitution. A flexible Constitution bends, and they show this picture of this tree. It looks pretty, and it's bending, and there's this little boy holding on to it. And then they show a rigid Constitution, and it's a gnarled tree, and it's breaking, and it's. And then there's these questions that basically